What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today it's time to have a look at OP-10. The whole set has now been revealed over in Japan, so what we need to do is take a whistle-stop tour through some of the cards we haven't talked about yet, but maybe we should have talked about, or we would have if we'd seen them earlier. But now we have. So let's go and have a look at the cards you need to know about that we haven't yet talked about from OP-10. And we're starting off with green, no red cards, because it really depends on just what's been revealed previously. But I like an L here. What we've got from an L is a skill whereby on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 3, trash 2. And that's good. Now, you're only gaining 1 card overall, but you're seeing 3 extra cards. It's great for consistency. And we know Leader Lim has got that thing whereby all your characters come into play rested. So when you play now with your Lim leader, your Odyssey leader, you only need 1 other rested character to make this work. It's decent draw power. If you're going to make an Odyssey deck work, I think an L is going to be pretty good. Speaking of Odyssey cards, we got a new Nami. They are really trying hard, incidentally, to make Odyssey work in the TCG. They're giving us a lot of options. Nami's a 2-cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 2k. Love the counter plus 2k. But on play, if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey characters, up to 1 of your opponent's rested Don will not activate during your opponent's next refresh phase. So we've got a counter plus 2k, which is good, and then we've got a skill whereby you can stop 1 of your opponent's Don activating during their next refresh phase. Make sure they don't have enough Don to do what they're planning to do. We've got a new Perona, which is Odyssey, but also a bunch of other stuff like Thriller Bark Pirates. And here we've got, during your turn, once per turn, when a character is rested by your own effect, activate up to 1 of your Don. Bearing in mind that your leader is going to rest your characters when they come into play. So, yeah. This is going to work quite a lot. And it's just a static once per turn skill. You don't need to rest Perona or anything like that. So you can just leave Perona there and just keep activating a Don every turn. That seems like it could be kind of relevant. We've got Lim Leader, but we've also got Lim Character here. And it's a 1-cost 0 power. But once per turn, if this character leaves a field due to an opponent's effect, you may instead rest 1 of your Odyssey characters. Basically, it stops your opponent using removal on Lim once per turn. Which is important, because at the end of your turn, you make up to 1 of your characters with the Odyssey trait active. So this basically undoes part of your leader skill. Your leader makes you play characters rested, which means they can be attacked and all of that. But Lim says, well, 1 of them can at least be made active. And I think that sounds like quite a lot of fun. Now, moving over into blue, there is 1 character I want to give a bit of a shout out to here, and that is our blue Marco. Marco is beloved in the One Piece TCG. We always get good Marco cards. I think we've got another one coming in here. Firstly, we've got Blocker. And secondly, on KO, put 1 of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters back to their hand. And I love this because we've got a blocker, so your opponent attacks and you block it, but then you get to remove 1 of their characters as well. And that sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. Oh, and actually, I probably should shout out behind here, because if you've got another Tontata tribe other than this, then you gain blocker. So it's just a 1-cost blocker, and I've always thought the 1-cost blockers were quite good. There we go. Couple of blue cards to have a chat about. Moving over into purple, we've got ourselves a new Sugar, and Sugar is just a generic Don Quixote pirate searcher. 1 cost, 1,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and it's an activate main, not an on play. You may rest 1 of your Don cards and this character. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a Don Quixote Pirates, and add it to your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Interestingly enough, it does not say other than Sugar. A lot of generic searches won't let you search out a character with the same name as the one you're using to search. Not an issue here. You are good. But yeah, it's an activate main. You do have to rest one of your Don, but you can do it every turn. It's a pretty good generic searcher. We've got ourselves a new Foxy, and maybe I'm just liking this because that's a part of the manga I've gotten to on my reread lately. But you've got counter plus 2k, which is awesome. And then you've got an activate main. You may place this character in the trash, and if the number of Don on your field is the same or less than the number on your opponent's field, you get to draw a card. So it's either a 2 cost that you just immediately trash to draw a card, or it's a counter plus 2k. Either way, I think we can make a use for this. Certainly, in pre-releases, this card is going to be awesome. We've got ourselves a rather lovely new Baby 5. Now, we got counter plus 2k, which you know I'm going to be loving here. But on play, you may trash a card from your hand. And if your leader is Don Quixote Pirates, add a Don card from your Don deck active, ready to use right now. So it's either a free cost that gets out an extra Don when you play it, or it's a counter plus 2k. I really like cards that you can do multiple different things with. Use it as a counter, or use it to accelerate. Either works for me. And then we got Bellamy, who I don't really like as a character, but I do kind of like this card. Free cost 4k blocker, but when blocking, you may rest 2 of your Don cards to add a Don card from your Don deck active. So essentially you end up with 1 less Don to use this turn. You rest 2, but you gain 1 active. So you gain 1 Don overall. You lose 1 to actually use. If you had 4 active Don, you rest 2, get 1 active. You now got 3 active Don. But you've got more Don overall. We all have turns where we end up with a Don that just doesn't do anything because we don't have the right cards to play. Well, I'm just saying, in that kind of situation, block with Bellamy, get an extra Don, yes. Of course, it is on your opponent's turn, you'll be blocking, so you've got to have 2 Don ready. But then again, that's the kind of thing Don Quixote Pirates tend to do anyway. They've got a bunch of skills that make Don active for your opponent's turn. So I'm just saying, I like this. We accelerate Don. This seems good to me. Over in black, the only one I really want to be having a chat about is Ryuma. There's a bunch of really good black cards. We've just talked about them all already. And Ryuma here, we got 4 cost, 6,000 power. Don X1, double attack. You whack a Don on there, you've got double attack. Double attack is awesome. Now, you don't have a counter on here, which makes me a little bit sad. But here, it's really quite simple. It's a 4 cost, 6k with double attack. Except you put a Don on there, so it's actually 7k. So it's kind of like a 5 cost 7k. 4 cost for the character, 1 cost for the Don. But then you've got double attack. We don't see enough characters, I don't think, with double attack. It's a phenomenal skill, although I still contend what I've always contended. It's not really double attack, let's face it, it's double damage. But when you do that double damage, life is good. But yellow has a bunch of cards that I like very much indeed. Yellow's making me a little bit happy in this set. So we've got Ivankov, who's Revolutionary Army. 5 cost, 6k, counter plus 1,000. And activate main once per turn. You can give 3 of your Revolutionary Army characters an extra 1,000 power. And then add the top card of your life to your hand. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward when you have to add the top card of your life to your hand. But there's always cards that can take advantage of this, and it's yellow and all of that. We know that sometimes it's not the end of the world, but it's just getting the extra buff to Revolutionary characters. I'm not sure Revolutionary Army is quite ready yet, but one day I'm desperate for it to be good, and I really do think that we're getting there, and this seems like a card that could absolutely help. Capone Beige, I like very much indeed. It is a 1 cost with counter plus 2k. But on play, you can add a card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. And then add a character that is Supernova from your hand to the top of your life, face up. Adore this. Absolutely adore this. Counter plus 2k, love it. Picking up a life so you get to see a card that was previously hitting so it was in your life, love it. Being able to essentially stack your life, love it. Huge fan of this card. I think there is a lot of potential here. And Capone Beige is another one of those characters that just seems to get a little bit too much love in the One Piece TCG. But I'm just telling you, this is one that I've absolutely got my eye on here. This one looks like it could be absolutely brilliant. We've got a new Caribou here. Caribou is not a character I'm particularly fond of, but here we've got Don X1. If your leader is Supernova and your opponent has 3 or more life cards, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. It's not a particularly great character, 4 cost 5k, but until your opponent goes down to 2 life, you can't be KO'd in battle. That's good. Having a character that can sit there causing havoc with your opponent unable to KO it in battle, that seems like a bit of a win for me. Now, Scratchman and Pooh is going to sound an awful lot like a blue card I showed you a moment ago. 1 cost, 1,000 power, counter plus 1,000. If you have a character other than Scratchman and Pooh with the Supernova trait, I should say a yellow character other than Scratchman and Pooh that is Supernova, you gain blocker. So you've got to have, it's a 1 cost blocker, but you can't just play it on turn 1 as a 1 cost and have a blocker. You've got to have somebody else there, another yellow Supernova to activate it, but it's still a 1 cost blocker by the time you get to that point, and that sounds very, very good to me. I like 1 cost blockers. And we might as well mention while we're talking Supernova, Monkey D. Luffy, 1 cost 2k, counter plus 1,000. And on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a Supernova other than Monkey D. Luffy, add it to your hand. It's a generic yellow Supernova searcher. But if we're playing yellow Supernovas, we're going to need a yellow Supernova searcher, and this seems to fit the bill very, very nicely indeed. But perhaps the most ridiculous of the characters we've got here is Basil Hawkins. 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000. It's got a really nice trigger, whereby draw 2, trash 1. Really good for draw. Oh yeah, but also, when KO'd, put a card from the top of your opponent's life into the trash. This is one of those, I've done all the translations myself. I've checked on the official website with Google Translate, but I've done them all myself. I feel pretty confident with this. But it's one of those ones where I read it and I was just like, no. So I went back and had another look, and yeah, on KO, trash the top card of your opponent's life. Oh, that's ridiculous. Remember that trashing life means they don't get it added to their hand, they don't get to activate trigger or any of that. And sure, your opponent can just not KO Basil Hawkins, but then you got a 5k and you can always pop a bunch of Don on there, etc. to power it up, that your opponent can't go after for fear of losing. I mean, come on. This is absurd. This Basil Hawkins, this is the card. I mean, I've shown you a bunch of good cards in this video that I like a lot. But of all the cards I've shown you in this video, this is the one that really jumped out to me as, oh, that's absolutely absurd. Actually, Capone Beige as well. This and Capone Beige are both absolutely redonkulous cards. So, yeah. I love this. Absolutely love this. We've got some good Supernovas coming in this set. I'm very excited. But I've told you about them all now. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you're excited about. Tell me which ones you want to be having a play with. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Odyssey. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.